Good morning, friends. Father Steve coming to you from my office. On this Sunday, I am actually not in Winston-Salem. I'm on vacation with my family, and I'm grateful for Luke Klingstead for leading morning prayer and preaching today at 8 and at 9. And I hope you had a chance to be able to be with that community. But for those who aren't able to come together on Zoom, for those who may be tuning in and following St. Timothy's from around the state, from around the country, maybe even farther than that, I wanted to at least be able to have some sort of virtual presence so that we can have some comment and reflection on the lessons of today that will inspire us to deepen our prayers and always seek for a greater connection with the Lord Jesus. The epistle lesson today is from Paul's letter to the Romans, and there's one verse in particular that keeps coming to mind. In verse 22, he says, "We know that the whole creation has been groaning in travail." That's the Revised Standard Version. The New Revised Standard says labor pains together until now. And not only creation, but we ourselves, who have the first fruits of the Spirit, groan inwardly as we wait for adoption as sons, the redemption of our bodies. For in this hope we are saved. Now hope that is seen is not hope. For who hopes for what he sees? But if we hope for what we do not see, we wait for it with patience. I remember early on, one of the major mistakes that I have made as a husband was during the delivery or the labor of our first child, Abigail. I remember being in the delivery room, and my wife Sherilyn has been a labor and delivery nurse now for many, many years, and she's well versed to this experience from both perspectives. For me, I've been in the room only 3 times, and the first time I was nervous, and I was trying to manage my own expectations and anxieties, but also be a supportive husband while my wife was the only one laboring, only one in travail with these pains. And I remember there watching the monitor that was connected to her. And for me, who wasn't in pain, I found it fascinating that I could watch the needle on the graph go up and down depending on when the contractions were coming. And I thought I'd be helpful. And whenever I could see the needle start really peaking and I could tell the contractions were starting, I thought that I could be, again, a helpful participant by letting her know, by the way, a contraction is starting right now. To which my beloved wife, lovingly actually, but sternly looked at me and asked, "Do you not think that I can feel these things when they're happening?" Fair enough, point taken. I never commented on that again. But what I learned and was reminded is that that sort of pain was academic and abstract for me. I was watching it on a graph. She was living it. She was feeling it. It's interesting how during this time, it is a lot like a labor pain that we are all feeling, whereas before maybe we were watching people's struggles and persecutions and their great perseverance in faith. We were watching it from afar. Maybe we read about someone's faith during persecution or during difficulty, but now no one is exempt. Now we're all given the opportunity to experience new life, and this new life, however, must first come through this pain of labor. Now, if you remember back in the beginning of the biblical story in the book of Genesis, and the curse that was given to Adam and Eve, the curse that was given to Eve is that new life would now come with pain. Now, keep in mind, she'd never given birth before this moment, so she did not know what a painless childbirth was. But now, because Adam and Eve chose to think that they had the ability to discern what is good and evil, that they could be the captain of their own course, God gave them that opportunity to see what it's like with all of the difficulty and all the responsibility that comes with it. And so if you want to bring about new creation, now you're going to discover the pain that comes with that. It's quite a mystery as to why God chose to make childbirth painful. Maybe it's because we need to be reminded that the act of creation is not something that we should take lightly. It's not a frivolous act. with creation, with new life, comes great responsibility, comes hardship and heartache, and a reminder of that. But also, perhaps it was given to us as a reminder for everybody, whether you are a woman who's giving birth or you are a loved one, a husband, or someone else who is watching lovingly from a distance, that whenever we now participate in spiritual new life, there will be pain. And so I think that it is so important for us to receive the difficulties of this pandemic with the uncertainty as when is school starting? When are college kids going back to school? Are they going back to school? When is the economy going to return to some normalcy? When can we come back together as a church community? Questions about health. If someone gets sick, will I be able to visit them in the hospital? If someone's at the end of life, will I be able to say goodbye to them? If someone's getting married, can we all gather together and rejoice? These are just some of the questions that we're dealing with. But to choose to look at this extraordinary time as an opportunity for new life, that these difficulties are but labor pains, that on the other side will bring about something more glorious than we could ever ask for or imagine. I think that the real spiritual task for us is to receive this time as such an opportunity to fill us with hope. And I said last Sunday that I was going to talk about how our remedy, our hope in this time is to be creative. And by creative, I don't mean coming up with some sort of, story or poem or work of art, but I mean to be participating in the act of creation. We're doing that here in the church, and with the capital campaign, with the construction project. And I gave you a preview last Sunday of the footers being poured, and hopefully by the time you're watching this, walls are beginning to emerge. And it's the idea of what this act of creation does give us a vision of the future, and that vision of the future is what gives us hope. A vision of the future is what gives us hope. Look at what St. Paul says. He says, we do not hope for what one sees. That's not hope. That's actualization. That's reality. We hope for what we do not see in the flesh, but we can see it in our faith. We can see it through the eyes of faith in our soul. So that is the difference between wishful thinking of what might come to pass, but also hope of knowing that God will be faithful. And I do believe that in our context of St. Timothy's, we've been given this extraordinary gift to build this church as an icon, an invitation to build the community of faith. As I said last Sunday, when we come back, everything's going to be new. It's this real opportunity to start again. How very rarely are we given an opportunity to start completely over. But now is one of those chances. And again, I've moved from anxiety to anticipation to now excitement and hope that when we come back, we can intentionally become the church and the parish that we know we need to be, with those values and those ideals and those virtues and those principles as the foundation of our purpose. And we make that clear and we make that overt, no longer subtle, no longer whispers, no longer kind of hoping people will get it. But this is who we are. We're people of prayer. We're people of adoration. We're people of real formation, of discovering who Jesus Christ is and what that means for us. And all those coming together, our prayer, our adoration, our disciplines, and our formation leads to a new life in Jesus Christ. Adoration, formation, transformation, no longer a tagline, no longer a slogan, no longer a hope, but who we are as a parish. And the opportunity is also given to every one of us, including you, a new opportunity to become the follower of Jesus Christ that you've always wanted to be, but maybe you felt like it's too late, too far gone, too many things have happened. Everything is now starting over. Everything has changed. And when we can come back, and you don't have to wait until we come back, but that would be the point where we come corporately together to reinforce and support one another in faith. We start now. We can start now. This is the painful time. These are the labor pains where we can feel the contractions coming and we're in great agony, but it's not futile. It's not pointless. It's not without purpose. On the other side of this will be new life. If you've ever been in a delivery room when someone's giving birth. You know what's going to happen, but you don't know exactly what the child's going to look like, what color the hair is going to be, the sound of their cry, how beautiful they actually are. We have ideas, we can imagine, we know something's coming, but we have really no way of knowing the specifics until the event actually happens. And then when the baby comes and we see the hair and we see the resemblance of this relative, and we hear that beautiful pitch of the voice for the very first time as air in this outside world fills their lungs, then we understand. On the other side of this, we hope for God's promise. We trust in God's promise. Through his grace, we will see the fulfillment of that hope. Our eyes will lay upon what is waiting for us. New life. I'm asking you to get excited with me. I'm asking you to commit to being a part of this parish and what God is preparing for us. It's not going to be easy. Again, I'm convinced that in my entire Christian life, I've had it easy. I spent all my time preaching about a life of faith and doing the things that we're called to do, but really it's been sort of abstract. Now we have the opportunity to live it through hardship, through difficulty, through uncertainty, because we don't know what's going to happen, except for this. God will be faithful. And whatever these labor pains are meaning for us, it will mean new life. Commit to that hope and to this parish and to our prayers and to be a part of something that's greater than we could ever imagine. I long for the time we can be back together and have these conversations face to face. But until then, I'm grateful for your perseverance and your patience and your participation and your fidelity. Thank you. The end will be here, not the end of all things, but the end of this time. The pain will stop, and the cries of joy and the cries of new life will sound. And that is what I'm hoping for. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Ghost. Amen.